Welcome to Call Her Daring. I am Kelly Daring. On today's episode, I am talking to Orna Danath about her book entitled Regretting Motherhood, a Study. It was through my Regretful Parents TikTok series that I learned from commenters about Orna's book. I absolutely devoured it and was so thrilled to find a book that so thoroughly examines and encapsulates the experience of regretting motherhood. When I decided to start this podcast, Orna was the one guest I immediately knew I had to have on the show. She is a doctor of sociology, and she has studied and teaches the fields of non-motherhood, motherhood, time, and emotions from sociological and feminist perspectives. In addition to her academic research, she has served as the chairwoman of the governing board of one of the rape crisis centers in Israel. She has volunteered in that center since 2004. She is a social activist, and her book Regretting Motherhood has been translated into 16 languages, including English. You can find it wherever you purchase or listen to books, and this book is so impactful that I believe it should be required reading for all women. Orna, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's really my honor and pleasure to be here with you.
It's my honor as well. I have been looking forward to having this discussion because when I read your book just a few weeks ago, it resonated so thoroughly with me that I knew I absolutely had to talk to you. So I cannot tell you how excited I am. So the first thing I want to know is what inspired you to conduct this study and write this book?
My first study was about Jewish Israeli women and men here in Israel who don't want to be parents. It was in 2003, and it was the first study about it here in Israel and in Hebrew. So I just jumped in and I was really interested in what people told me. And one of the sentences that kept going with me and really bothered me and troubled me was the people told me in my study that they promised that they will surely regret it, and especially women told me that they were women who don't want to be mothers, that there is a certain promise people all the time saying to them, you will surely regret it. And as a sociologist, it was really troubling for me. And I thought about this, I thought about it as a political usage of emotions. Society uses emotions in order to align us into the right path. I decided that I will conduct my next study about this triangle between regret and parenthood, non-parenthood, and society, all these connections. Well, I will not tell you the whole story of the study, but after all, I ended up writing about women who regret becoming mothers. I didn't know when I started it that nothing was written about it in the academy. There was no study about it.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting for me to learn it because, feminist theorization already exists about many feelings that mothers have within their motherhood, like boredom and anger and rage and of course guilt, but no regret. So so
a completely new
that's what
topic. Yeah,
I wanted to say, sorry, that I also interviewed 10 men who regret fatherhood. At the at the end of my study, I wrote only about women.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that you interviewed men.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to not include them in the book?
Because I was limited by the university at the length of my study. It was at the end, it was 330 pages.
Oh.
And this is only about women. So I didn't have the space, to elaborate also about men and fatherhood. And since society treats us differently when we don't want to be mothers and when we are mothers in relation to men, so I thought that women should be at the center of this study.
Okay. So I agree. Society weaponizes regret against women in terms of um, choosing to be a mother. It's one of my biggest frustrations. But you are child free, correct?
Yeah. I don't relate to myself with the term child free. I don't like this term.
What term do you prefer?
That I'm a woman who don't want to be a mother.
Okay. All right. Why? So, what's the distinction for you? What's the difference?
First, that I don't like that the children are at the center of the term,
Okay.
because I do have children in my life, and that's my nieces, my beautiful nieces. So I do have a kind of children or young people in my life. So I'm not really child free, but I'm mother free. I don't want to be, and I never wanted to be a mother. And it's not the same. It's the same distinction that I'm doing in the book about regret, that they are regretting motherhood, but not the children.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I
I
guess we
love it.
will talk about it. But child free, no, I prefer to say that I don't want to be a mother. I think,
That's such
yeah.
that is such an important distinction, and I've never thought about it that way. And you've already made me think so much, and we're only like 5 minutes in. I absolutely love it. I think I will think about how I describe myself in the future now based on what you just said, because it's true. I do have children in my life that I love, including stepdaughters, including nieces, including friends' children. And so I really can't call myself child free, but I can 100% accurately say I do not want to be a biological mother.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
interesting. Okay, so you are not a mother, and you do not want to be a mother. So you said in your book that that had a significant meaning for several of the women who participated in your study. So what meaning did that hold for them? Why was that important?
That at least several of them felt more secure, that I will not judge them. As we said, two women, one is not a mother, one is a mother, and we shared the feeling of wanting to be nobody's mom. So they knew that I guess they knew, I hope they knew that I will not judge them. And since I am like a kind of an outsider looking at a pronatal society and not liking what I'm seeing, and knowing what women prices, the higher prices and the heavy prices that women are paying with regard to motherhood and everything around it, and reproduction and everything, I hope that they felt secure that I will not sit there and make them feel even more guiltier than they already feel.
Yeah.
And I guess it made me like a kind of a partner for being the underdog or something like that with regard to a pronatal society. Even what she was a mother and I'm not, but we both are not in them. We are not welcome, if I can
Yes.
say that.
Yes,
We're not
absolutely.
welcome.
That makes perfect sense. I have a series of videos on TikTok called Regretful Parents where I read anonymous messages from mothers who regret becoming mothers. And I think that one of the reasons that they are comfortable telling me their stories is because I don't have children of my own, and they know that I'm not going to judge them
Yeah.
for their regret. So that makes perfect sense to me. In regards to the participants in your study, how did you select and interview them? And did they mandate that they had to be anonymous? Was that an absolute deal breaker for them? They had to remain anonymous for your study, for your book?
So it's two questions. I didn't select. No, because it's not that, 100 mothers approached me and I needed to choose which one. Each and every one who approached me after she identified herself as a regretting mother, because when I published an invitation to participate in my study, I didn't try to silver line it or to like pink wash. I don't know. No, no, not pink wash, but I didn't mean to make it cuter or something. The title was Regretting Motherhood.
Okay.
So they knew what they are approaching for. I wanted it like that. It's not, I didn't want to talk about ambivalency. I didn't want to talk about hardships in motherhood. I wanted to talk about maternal regret.
Yep.
So I trusted them that they identified themselves correctly if they approached me. And each and every one of them who wanted to participate was in. And I also scheduled interviews with several of them because I interviewed at 23, but I scheduled, I think, with 28, and 5 of them I did come to their homes and did speak to them. But during our conversation, I realized that they are not regretting, that they are, it's really hard for them. They are suffering, but they are not regretting. So they are not included in the study.
Okay.
It might be as a surprise, but several of the women who I interviewed wanted to be in the study with their real name.
Oh,
Not the last name,
right.
but first name.
Okay.
And they told me, we don't feel it's okay by me. I want to be real. This is me. This is who I am. It was the university who, they didn't want to take this risk, and I needed to find other names. But I think that 4 of them told me, you can use my first name if you
Oh,
want.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be interviewing some regretful mothers for this podcast, and the 2 that I have interviewed so far have actually been fine with me using their name and actually showing themselves on videos.
Yeah.
I think we're slowly going in the right direction for actually being able to talk about regretting motherhood openly, which I think is great news.
Yeah. Because I wish one day, when I think about it, there is nothing to be ashamed about.
No.
Regret it is so human to regret things in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of being human. It's part of
Exactly.
being a subject who can, think back and imagine otherwise, and you deliberate the options, and then appreciate things that went, or acknowledge that some things went wrong. And in addition, we are being told, when we are being seduced into motherhood, we are being told, oh, it will change your life. And I'm all the time saying, exactly. And
Yes, it will.
why are you so sure that it will change my life for the best?
Yes.
So we regret everything in life. So how come not motherhood? It's not the children. They're not, most of them, they're not abusing them. This is not the story. Oh, it's just being human, after the fact, realizing that it's not for you and you're still there. You're still a
Exactly.
mother.
Yes, and motherhood is such a life-changing, unalterable thing. Once you've done it, you can't go back. And so it makes perfect sense that yes, some people are going to feel regret about that life-changing event. It's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah.
We can acknowledge it. It's okay. Can you tell me? I want to know about the women, the diversity in the group of women that you talk to, age, their social class, their education, employment, things like that. How diverse were they?
Quite diverse, different identities. It was from the age of 27 to 73. 5 of them are already grandmothers. Some of them have 1 child. Some of them have 2 children, or 3 or 4 children. Some of them divorced. Some of them are still in partnership. None of them was a teenage mom. And
Okay.
none of them was a single mom. All of them became mothers in a relationship, and some of them are now divorced, but they were not single moms when they got pregnant. They are from different economic and ethnicity is diverse,
Okay. Yep.
relating to Israel. All of them are Jewish. And what more can I say? Some of them, the father is the main caregiver.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So it sounds like you have a really diverse group of women participating in this study.
And this is one of my arguments in one of my suggestions in the study, that it's not, most of the time, it's not about the conditions.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I want to touch on that. Absolutely. I was going to ask you about that because so many people in my TikTok series want to blame regret on conditions. And I've made a TikTok specifically about this. And they say, well, if you just had a better partner or you had a bigger village of people to help you or your kids are a little bit older, they blame it on everything except for just it. They just don't want to admit that it's possible this woman just doesn't want to be a mother.
Yeah, subjective experience of motherhood, even though they have all the right conditions. And how can we look about it at it from a different angle? If we will if we will ask women who don't want to be mothers, and I will interview myself now, and I will ask myself, are there any conditions by which I would want to be a mother? Give me all the money that I need, and help, and a village and two villages and a time to write and everything that I need. And I still don't want to be a mother. So this is another angle to look at it, that it's not only about conditions. There are women who just don't want to be mothers. That's it, period. It's
Completely
not
agree.
about conditions.
No, it's not. Absolutely. You use quotes, direct quotes from the mothers in your study, and you use them frequently, and they're really impactful in the book. And those quotes start to underscore a narrative that it looks at social expectations and social rules for women, and then it starts to compare them to the actual experiences of these mothers. So, what are some of the key differences between what society expects and what the social rules are for moms as opposed to what their actual lived experiences as mothers?
Maybe the main thing is the tension between being myself and being a mother.
The
When
tension.
the tension, because women are expected to be like only mothers, and
Yeah.
to sacrifice everything, and to be an object, and there is of course, I'm not the first one who are talking about it or wrote about it, the conflict between being an object to subject. Society also deliver conflicted messages, like we are being told, you must be a mother, you must be a full-time job a mother, but then you will be asked, why are you giving up on yourself if you would like to be only a mother and stay-at-home mom? Many different messages, conflict, like really, it's really a messy area for mothers. And I think that many of them don't enjoy it, and we are being told that just because we are considered to be females, it's like coded in our biology to enjoy it.
Oh, I've heard that so many times, especially from men, that it's biologically written that we should want children, and if we don't, there is something wrong with us.
Yeah. And there is not a recognition about the diversity between us. All of us who are considered to be females, we are not the same. I'm saying something so simple, and it's even banality to there is a word, banality, right?
Yes.
I'm saying something that it's so, it is a banality to say that we are not, just because we have the same biological organs doesn't mean that we are the same. That you and I, for example, it doesn't mean that we have the same dreams, yearnings, abilities, disabilities. Hippie. We don't necessarily want the same thing from life, or can have the same thing from life. And for me, it's really kind of absurd that we are still relating to women as if we are like
All the same.
just the same. Yeah.
Yes.
when you don't even stop to think and deliberate about the question whether you want to be a mother or not, and why do you want to be a mother or not. You're just relating to it as if it's a natural course of life, that it's like it's a transparent stage, because it's obvious that after you are in a partnership or relationship or getting married, you don't even for a minute stop and deliberate it, and you just relate to it as if it's a natural course of life. During since 2015, I'm moderating groups for women who are uncertain whether they want to be mothers or not.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and we meet. I moderate one group a year because I don't have time for more than that. So, and we are meeting for 10 weeks, and just as I said, we give respect to the uncertainty. We respect the uncertainty because
Absolutely. I
there
love that.
is no place to say, I don't know.
Nope.
I don't know. We are expected to just do it, just jump into it. And so many women don't even, and I can understand it, because this is the message that we get since day one,
Exactly.
that it's only a matter of time.
Yep.
It's
So
just a matter of time.
exactly. So many women that write to me say they didn't know they had a choice. Like they just went down the road. They didn't even think, it did not occur to them that they might be able to choose non motherhood. And so many people that comment on these videos say, how could you not know? How did you not know you had a choice? But it's true. So many women just go, they're on autopilot. They don't think about it. They don't know. All they know is that they have been conditioned since they were born to be a mother, to grow into a mother, and so they don't even think about it. It's quite remarkable for someone like me and you, or women like me and you, who clearly have spent a lot of time thinking about it and probably knew from a fairly young age that it was us.
Yeah. I knew since I was 16. Were you younger than me when you understood it?
No, I was about 15 when I started just paying attention and started seeing how reality didn't really line up with the fairy tale that society was telling me. And so I started watching moms with their kids around 15, and things just weren't lining up, and I'm like, "You know what? I don't think this is for me. This doesn't look fun."
So I heard my friends talking about it when I was in a dancing class. It was an art school, and I was in a dancing class, and my friends talked about, yeah, and I will be a mother, and I will have three children, and the names will be this and that. And I remember myself listening to them and like having a really, really deep understanding that this is not my dream. I didn't have any judgment about motherhood and looking about on other mothers. Just something like an inner understanding. This is not for me. It's not my dream. It's not going to happen. I couldn't imagine it. And when I
Yeah.
can't imagine something, it's not going to happen. And it's just, it can't get realized in reality. And I totally understand why so many women are not stopping to think about it, because uh, we don't have the room to really think about it, and the prices might be very, very high and heavy.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. You say that this passive decision making cannot be described as free choice because free choice must include reflections about that choice's costs, benefits, and consequences, as well as other options. And you ask a couple of questions that I want to talk about. You say, how much choice do we actually have if we are free to choose only what society wants us to choose? And I think that's such a good question because we all like to believe that we have free choice. We're free and we have free choice, but how free are we really when society has told us there is one path for us? And it's one of the things that I think women need to start considering, start thinking about. Don't do the automatic decision making. Start thinking, start being intentional about your future.
So you see, it's really philosophical and really huge question, really beyond me about what is a pure, real, free choice. It's really a big question. But in my classes, I ask the students, is it a free choice if we are being told that life is like a grand supermarket, and then on the shelf you have only the product motherhood?
Yeah, the product they want you to buy.
Yeah. So is it a real choice, a free choice? And also, if there is an antihood, there is a word antihood, right?
Uh-huh,
Anti.
yeah.
So if there is motherhood and antihood, and you know that if you will take antihood from the shelf, everybody from this moment on will be on your neck and will say to you, this is a bad choice. It's not a real choice. You're not a real woman. Are you crazy? You are insane. You are childish. And all the way to pay for it, you will hear this kind of remarks. Is it really giving us the space to decide? And why aren't there more options, like being a social mother, not a biological mother, or having different kind of relationships with children without being their biological mother? Because there are women who do want to be in certain kinds of relationship with children and really want to work with children,
Yeah,
therapy, education, and without being their mothers. In reality, it exists. These
absolutely.
options exist, but they are being treated as less true or less important than being biological mothers.
Yeah, I hear from women who are nannies and they're teachers to young children, and it's interesting to me that they love that role. They love their job, but they do not want kids of their own. And so it's a perfect illustration of what you're saying right now, is that there are so many different roles and relationships women can have with children other than mother, but they're not presented to us. They're not talked about.
They are being like derogated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Call Her Daring is sponsored by Bagnet Company. I founded Bagnet Company in 2015, and since then I've made it my mission to create useful accessories that not only make your life easier, they add a little sparkle to your everyday. The best pleasures in life are the little things that you love using because they bring a smile to your face and serve a purpose. That's why Bagnet Company is a no-brainer for women who know they deserve to have it all. Easier, better, more beautiful. It's not a tagline, it's a life mantra. You talk about feeling rules, and I think you coined the term, right? I
No,
never
no,
heard
no,
of
no.
you didn't. Okay.
Arlie Russell Hochschild, she's a sociologist, and she coined it. Yeah.
Okay, I love it. Can you tell me what feeling rules are for in regards to motherhood?
Yeah, kind of, she wrote, it was more complicated than what I'm going to say now. It's kind of
Sure.
simplistic what I'm saying now. But we have a kind of belief that emotions are private and they are only our own and from within and our private assets or something like that. But emotions are also being regulated by society, and we are being socialized to certain rules regarding our feelings or emotions. Since we are young, we are being taught what can we feel when, who can feel what, and who cannot feel what. How do we need to express our feelings? How loud can we express our feelings? So there are many regulations around our feelings in so many areas, Also, right now in this interview, it will be out. I will be an outlaw, like a kind of an emotional criminal, if I will like start laughing or crying, in a manner that doesn't fit the situation, because there is a way that we need to talk now and how we express our feelings. So in each and every area in our social life, there are feeling rules, and of course, with regard to motherhood.
What are some of the main feeling rules with regard to motherhood? For me, it seems like the expectation that there is one experience of motherhood. Like you cannot express regret. The feeling rule for motherhood is that it has to be the most rewarding, fulfilling thing you do. And if you don't feel that way, then you can't talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I would say that mothers are being expected to love motherhood and to love the children,
Yep.
and it's also not the same. No. And it's not only about loving the children, and it's not only about loving motherhood. They need to love both of them and enjoy both of them. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And I do want to talk about the distinction between regretting motherhood and regretting your children. So I am going to come back to that. Did you have any really surprising findings from your study? Like anything that was unexpected for you?
I think that the only thing, I when I sat and transcribed the interviews that I conducted, I listened to it, back and forth and back and forth. I knew that I have in my hands that I have in my hands something that will be quite like an earthquake. I knew
Yes.
it. And nothing that they said was surprising for me, but it was kind of astonishing, a bit astonishing for me, the volume of the disbelief, the social disbelief that regretting motherhood actually exists.
Yeah.
The denial,
It's
the
huge.
the trying to deny the existence of regretting motherhood. I guess this is the thing that nothing that they said. I totally understand, and
Sure.
I'm all the time saying that I think that if I would have become a mother, I would have probably interviewed myself for this study about regretting motherhood, because I guess that I would have been miserable. So I could really identify with them or understand what they are saying without being a mother, because it was like a time machine,
Yeah.
and I needed to, and I use a lot of my imagination all the time. It's really a really important tool in my life. So I really could imagine that I understood from a different existence what they are saying. So
Yeah.
nothing was a surprise for me. But
Okay.
the social response was so harsh
Mm-hmm.
that was
Yeah.
I really sat sometimes in front, and I read things and I said, really? Really?
It's incredible, the
You
magnitude.
can't understand it? Really?
There's a section of the book where there's many consecutive quotes from women who answered this question that you asked them. You said, if you could go back in time with the knowledge and experience you have today, would you become a mother? And all of the women said that they would not become a mother again. And I found that section so impactful, that every single one of those moms said, no, if I could go back with the knowledge I have today, I would not become a mother again. And I think that leads me into my next point or question, and it's about the distinction between regretting motherhood and regretting your children. Can you tell me the difference based on your study? What is the difference between those two things?
Yeah, I think that almost each and every one of them told me, in a different way, in a different manner, I love my children. I hate being the mother. So what they told me is that I love these people. These people are good people, and they have the right to be in the world. They are good people. They created a kind of a separation, in a good way, a separation that the children are not me and I am not the children. They have the right to exist if they want it, and they are good people. In addition, I don't like, I hate, I regret being in a certain position within my relationship with them. And it's not the same. It's not the same because it's like, after you having a break from a romantic partner, and there are people who can say, well, I love this person. He or she are a really beautiful person. I just don't want to be in a certain relationship with them.
Exactly.
I love them. I don't have not a bad word about them, but I just don't want to be in a certain relationship. I don't want to be in a romantic, sexual relationship with this person, and he or she are still wonderful.
Yep, perfectly said. That's wonderful. I think that a huge part of regretting motherhood is tied into identity loss. And these women have children and they lose who they were before they became mothers. I guess it's interesting to me because it's the opposite of what we are told by society. So society tells us that we won't be our fullest expression of a woman. We won't realize our true identity until we have children. But for these moms who regret motherhood, the opposite I think is true. I think they felt more whole prior, like they had this identity prior to having children that they miss, that they can't go back to. Would you agree with that based on your study?
Yeah, I wrote about it, exactly what you said. I wrote about it, that we are being told that at a certain age, we are being told, well, from now on, your life are missing something and it's empty. And you need to fulfill it, and you need to, to be, in order to make it a whole, you need to be a mother. But so many women that I interviewed felt that motherhood took something from them, and that they felt like a whole subjects before motherhood. And it's just took bits and pieces from them, motherhood.
Yes.
So it's the opposite from what we are being told. And and they miss it. And, I'm not the first one who wrote about it, that for many women, motherhood is related to many kind of losses of identity, of time, and time is related to identity. There is a connection between them. Losses of intimacy and sexuality, and many kind of losses.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. The other thing I've noticed in my videos on TikTok, the comments, is so many people want to chalk regret up to postpartum depression. So let's talk about that for a second. You talked to your study participants about postpartum depression, and what did they have to say about that? And I remember they felt like it really kind of pigeonholed them. Like if we talk about postpartum depression, it doesn't leave any room to talk about true regret.
Exactly. Two of them told me, like, they really, really ruled it out. They said, I did not have a postpartum depression. That was not the case. And they talked to me 20, 30 years after giving birth to their children.
Wow.
And they still feel regret. So for how many years will we consider it as a postpartum depression? 40 years into grandmotherhood? Until when we are going to widen the limit of postpartum? So it's not, and they told me it was not about that. And I think, of course, it is so important to talk about baby blues and postpartum depression. So important. And it's so important that during the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, It's being talked more broadly than before. And after saying that, we really need to be cautious not to push everything into this drawer and like shove into it everything that mothers are saying that are not in relation to what they are being expected to feel,
Yep.
because it's suffocating once more, and now
Exactly.
from a new direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have to leave space for women to say, perhaps I simply just don't want to be a mother.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a social promise that the passing of time will lead to relief of difficulties in motherhood. And I see this again all the time on my TikTok videos where people are claiming it gets easier as they get older. It's just because they're young. You know, they'll grow out of it, you'll grow out of it. And so I'm sure I know the answer to this because I read your book, but does your study support this belief, this social promise?
No. And when people are saying that, they're once again leaning on this conception of it's only a matter of time. And because you are considered to be a female, down the road, of course, you will love and enjoy being a mother. Like we have the same road, the same emotional road, and it's narrowing. It's really problematic to assume that each and every one of us have the same linear path, emotional linear path with regard to motherhood. In my study, most of the women who participated are not new mothers. Their children are not so young, and 5 of them are already, as I said, grandmothers.
Grandmothers.
Many of them are already 15, 20 years already mothers, and they still feel the same. And
Yeah.
the children, they're not involved in the life of their children as they were when the children were 2 years old, 3 years old. They are, some of the children are teenagers. They are coming and going, and you don't need to take them all the time and to be with them all the time. The children don't want to be with you all the time. You are more freer than before. And they
Yep.
still, because I relate to it as a consciousness motherhood. It's something that it's all the time here. Once a mother, always a mother.
Exactly.
Also, when you are grandmother, you can no longer walk the earth feeling as nobody's mom.
Yeah.
You're all the time a mother, even if you're not involved on a daily basis with all the maternal tasks that you used to be when they were young. It's not this is not the story.
Yeah. It never goes away.
No.
And some of the grandmothers in your book, they note that they regret grandmotherhood as well. You know, they didn't want to be a mom and they don't want to be a grandmother either.
Yeah, I talked to one of the women whom I talked to. She was not a grandmother yet, and she told me, I really pray that my children will decide not to have children themselves. I don't want to be a grandmother. I don't want to be. It
Yeah.
was more than enough for me.
Wow. And I want to talk about women and in their partnerships with men in this case in your study. I think we've already kind of touched on this, but I want to make sure I understand. The women who had a fully participating partner, so who did their fair share of childcare, child rearing, was their experience of regret any different than those that did not have an active partner as far as childcare goes?
No,
Because so many people want to say pick a better partner. You just picked a bad partner. If you had more help, you wouldn't regret motherhood.
no.
But I don't think that's true.
It's the same as we talked before. It's not so many times. It's not about the conditions. It's not about. This is not the story. When people are saying that, some of them at least don't want to hear and acknowledge the bottom line that is, for some of us, motherhood is not the right place to be, and the right way to live.
And they feel so compelled to make it about conditions, to make it about something else because they're so uncomfortable with this maternal regret.
And I can understand also that because it's a kind of giving it's a kind of a false feeling of control. Like
Hmm.
at society, we relate to it that, okay, so if we will change things and deliver the good conditions to mothers, we will be able to eliminate regret.
Yep.
So it's a kind of control. We can, okay, so if we will do this and that, everything will be okay. But this is not the story for many of them.
Nope. You talk about changing the way we view motherhood from a role to a relationship. So, how do you think this would change the experience of motherhood for women if we viewed it more as a relationship rather than a role?
It will bring motherhood back to earth because now it's out of we relate to it as a society is out of the human existence, like something that like mothers are, mothers are being related like an omnipotence, like
Yes.
they are goddess on earth on one
Yes.
hand, and on the other hand, they are being treated by society as little children, little girls who need to be supervised all the time, and the experts will tell them what to do, and they don't know shit, nothing. And from on the one hand, we are being told that because we are females, we have the maternal instinct, and we will on only the first minute we will know what to do. But on the other hand, we are being told that you know nothing. The experts will tell you. So in between, mothers, so many mothers are trying to find which is it,
Yeah.
and it's just relating to motherhood as a relationship. It's like to bring it, as I said, back to earth, like an intersubjective relationship. And if it's an intersubjective relationship, then maybe we will be able to understand that all emotions might be involved
Exactly.
in it.
Just like we don't expect everyone's relationship with their partner, with their husband, with their girlfriend, whatever the case is, we don't expect all of those relationships to look one way, to be one experience. So why do we expect that of motherhood? And if motherhood was truly a relationship, which it is, then we could accept that there are many different experiences within that relationship.
Yeah. And right now, mothers are being treated as non-human.
Mhm.
It's sometimes I really wonder how not more women are getting crazier, because of this different messages, and it's really hard. It's really hard.
It is really hard. What pushbacks or criticism have you encountered because of your book, or have you not? Have you mostly received support?
And I got like reactions all over the spectrum from feeling messages of relief and gratitude for writing this book, not only from mothers who regret from different countries, but also from women who are not mothers, who don't want to be mothers, who felt relieved by reading this book. And also, I was slandered by so many people around the world who wrote that I'm, um, as if I created a problem,
just by
uh,
just by talking about it.
just by talking about that. As if I invented it,
Yeah.
as if just because I wrote about it, because of that, regretting mother would exist.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and people also wrote personal things about me that because I don't want to be a mother, on a vendetta, I want to make a
Ah.
revenge.
Oh my God.
But it's such a distorted way to look at it because in my personal life, I never felt that not wanting to be a mom is a problem. that I need to be so. I have such a serenity regarding the knowing that I don't want to be a mother, and I don't feel pressured by my surroundings, by my family. So everything that I'm writing about, it's a political act. It's not, of course, the political is personal, of course, but it's not from my personal experience as not non-mother, I don't know how to say, in Israel, because I didn't feel all these bad things, reactions, at least not in my face and not from my family.
Yeah,
And it's a kind of a political feminist act on my behalf. Yeah,
absolutely. I didn't get negative reactions from my friends and family either. And I feel I have the same serenity that you have about my choice. And I think that there are millions of women that feel that serenity about their choice to be a mother. And that's a wonderful thing.
exactly.
There's space for all of it. We can all exist.
So this is one of the also distorted reactions that I got, and this one is really upsetting for me. That people think that I am a kind of a like revenge and a kind of propaganda
Oh,
against
wow.
motherhood. And it's such a distorted way to do what I'm trying to do. Because if I if my message was that motherhood is bad for all women and don't be mothers, that then I would have been just the same discourse that I'm making a critic, writing a critic, I'm being critical about it. I would be just the same. I don't have a message that we need to be the same,
Yes,
not mothers, that all of us should. I want women to be whatever they want to be.
exactly. Yes. There is no propaganda here.
No, it's not my business. It's not, but I want to talk about the discourse. I want to talk about the suffocation with its limited we don't have room to maneuver under postnatal ideology.
No,
So
we do not.
once we will talk about it and break pieces from it, then maybe more women around the world will have more liberty to decide whatever they want, not what I want. It's not about me. It's not about my. I don't have an agenda here about it.
No. What advice would you give to women who are on the fence about motherhood? Because you have that, did you say it's a class or a seminar or a course or something? Yeah. So what is your advice to women who they're not sure?
You know, I don't relate to it as an advice because I'm not. I don't have the right answers to how to live life or how.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I do know that in the 10 meetings that we have each time with the women who are uncertain about it, I'm just saying give respect to the uncertainty.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so it's just a kind of disposition regarding the uncertainty. And I'm not rushing into solving it to
I love
yes
it.
or no.
Yeah. Sit with the uncertainty and sit with it for a long time. Sit with it for
As much
years.
as you need, as much as you feel that you need. I don't know how long. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think women should be seeking out information on both sides of the coin. They should be seeking out information like stories from regretful mothers, in
I
addition to the wonderful stories of parenthood.
I think I think that for many of us, many things are inside because I always say, people are sending me studies that say something like a new study found out that 70% of people who are not parents are happier than parents or something like that. Okay? it's not meaningful for me to read this kind of studies, because will I be in the 70%, in the 30%? How can I know? So I think that answers relates to knowing myself, not
Yes.
necessarily other people, other experience, but myself. And I will give example about myself, because I'm an introvert.
So am
My
I.
sources are from being alone, quietly, being at home. So I need to know myself, and I need to know which situations make me feel really miserable. So it's not about what is motherhood for her and for her, and who am I? Who am I?
Yes.
What do I wish for myself in life? And what are the what makes me feel more calm and feel in my place, and that I have the things that I need, and the well-being. And the more I know myself, I can ask questions whether raising children will, fit my
Exactly.
inner map.
Yeah, and so I think the best advice is to know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, then to learn about yourself. And that can be difficult for women who are in, their 20s when they're typically starting to think about having children. It can be difficult to know who you are in your 20s. You're still not even fully formed often. So that's why it's so important to sit with the uncertainty for a long time, to learn about yourself, to think about what it is that you like, that you don't like, that makes you happy, what makes you comfortable.
And we need to say that unfortunately, there are so many women around the globe who don't have this privilege at
No, you're
all,
right. You're right.
at
Yeah,
all, at all. Um, also in Israel, women from different social groups, and also in America, and also from other countries who don't have this privilege. And on the other hand, I will say that during the last year, I read articles about women from so many countries who don't want to be mothers, also from Iran and Indonesia. Yesterday, I read an article about women in the Indonesia who don't want to be mothers, and Europe and Israel, and people don't understand that they're all around the globe. There are women who don't want to be mothers, not
yep.
just from certain places, but not each and every one of us has the option to live along her unwillingness to be a mother,
Yeah,
to live in accordance to the unwillingness to be a mother.
it's a great point. And you do touch on that in your book. What I want to be respectful of your time, so I think we'll wrap it up. But I want to ask about future projects or any research, any books you have planned. Do you have anything forthcoming that we can look?
These days I'm writing my next book, and it's about elderly women in Israel who are not mothers. I interviewed 25 women from the ages of 58 to 86 who are not mothers. And I wanted to hear from them about what is it for them getting older without being mothers, thoughts of them about death,
And I'm
uh,
sure you touch on regret, whether or not they regret
red
not having children.
continuity, yeah. And from this perspective, because so many times people also regarding my first book, it was not translated to other languages, but my first book participated younger women, and I was being told all the time, when they are young, they will feel differently when they are older, and they will surely, as I said, they will surely regret it. So as usual, I approached the women themselves. And I wanted to ask not what people are saying about getting old and not being a mother, and hearing from the women themselves what they are saying about their lives. And I'm
Their
writing
lived
about it
experiences.
these days. Yeah.
When can we expect that?
Wow. I think in 2 years, 2.5 years, it will be translated, I hope, to German.
Okay.
And then I hopefully to other languages, and of course in Hebrew, I'm going to publish it also here in Israel, and then I hope in more countries and more languages. I hope.
Okay. Well, I hope it gets translated into English because I will be the first one in line to buy that book. Absolutely.
Thank you very much in advance.
Yes. Can listeners find you anywhere? Are you on social media or no, you're not on social media. Okay.
No,
All right. Well
but
then.
my email is out there if they want
Okay.
to write to me.
Okay.
And no, I'm not on social media.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I think it is going to be so impactful and so valuable for women who are trying to make intentional choices about their future, as well as for women who possibly regret motherhood or even women who don't and just have learned something new today. I think it's all valuable, and thank you so much.
I want to thank you as well. First of all, that you are talking about it in such a, that I will not give you a grades. It's just I'm enjoying, and I'm really appreciating the fact that you are talking about it on the platform of TikTok. It's so important. And also for talking about the book, because I feel that it's, of course, it's more complex and it's more deep in the book, of course, and it's really meaningful that by your sayings maybe more women, selling. For me, it's okay that it will go to the library and then and take it. It's not about selling the book. It's about like even go to the library, but
Yeah.
just have a way to reach it and read it. So thank you so much for helping me uh do it and like the reaching out to more women who needs it.
It's my
Who need
it's
it.
my pleasure. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Orna.
Thank you as well.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Call Her Daring podcast. You can find me and Call Her Daring on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Follow for even more content and conversations about women being radically honest about the female experience. Please join me here every week for a new episode of Call Her Daring, and let's continue the powerful tradition of storytelling with the goal of informing and educating us all, so that we may step into our truest selves and realize our full potential as powerful women.